Welcome, everybody. Jennifer, good morning. It's the Merrill and Jennifer
Hello.
show, the Jennifer and Merrill show. Welcome, everybody. We are post FICO world, so we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the things we learned and some of the things that have come up since. Jennifer, take it away.
Yay! So it was so nice to have you. Thank you so much for being on my show on Saturday. We talked a little bit about a thing called the resiliency score, which is a new thing. So I want to talk about that. But I want to preview this, that we also are going to dig deeper, and I can ask a deeper question about this. But one of the other things that you recently have been talking to the banks for what's happening in the real estate market, what's happening with these mortgages, that people took the moratorium and they didn't pay 1 year, 2 years. And, I hate to say it this way, but so often, people were thinking, oh, I'm not going to be judged.
It's
And
not going
again,
to report. They told me they wouldn't report it late.
So, and again, you got that's mincing of words and mincing and understanding the definition of terms. And again, so they decided to go ahead and create a brand new term called your resiliency score. And so I want to talk about that part, but also the future of real estate has so much to do with how these lenders, especially these mortgage lenders, are going to treat these people who, number one, took the moratorium and just took a mortgage holiday, and lived for free. But also, what's that mean for the future of real estate and real estate investors on what's going to happen? So we want to know what's kind of the inside scoop on that. So let's start with the resiliency score.
Sure. So the resiliency score is an additional, in 2019, FICO put together this resiliency score because they saw something coming, because guess what they have? Big data. They're looking at hundreds of millions of borrowers and billions of transactions, and the math is saying, oh, this is going up, this is going down, this is weird. So they started back in 2018, they started building what's called the resiliency score. And the resiliency score is 1 to 100, and right about 50. So you'd think they scored it well. Right about 50 is your moderately risk. Above 50, you're higher risk. And so what the resiliency score means, they introduced it at the FICO World 2019. So it's been 3 years since we did a FICO World, but they introduced it as literally it said, which of your 690s will survive?
Oh, ouch.
And so let's separate the scores. The resiliency score is a completely different score than your 3-digit FICO credit score. The FICO credit score says, taking a snapshot right here, what is the likelihood that you will go late or default a serious late, 90 days or more, within the next 2 years? So they're predicting 2 years, right? But that's it. The resiliency score was designed to bring that up within 3 to 6 months. So, and what it says is, if you have high balances, then your resiliency is not good, because if you lose your income, you don't have the wherewithal to make these payments, and you're going to go into significant late in the next 3 to 6 months, not 2 years. So it's kind of a supercharged additional score. Now, lenders have to subscribe to this additional score. So if your lender doesn't subscribe, they don't know whether or not you're resilient.
So that's one thing. Again, like I said, that's something new. But also what you just said is, if they're not using it, but it's a totally different score. And it seems a little bit hard because, as you said, it's a 1 to 100. And then you've got the FICO is, oh my gosh, is it in the 700s? Is it the 800? It's so confusing. So I want to make sure that people kind of unstick those two, aspects. And again, it's not the end all be all. And I'll go ahead and do a quick myth busting with you of the FICO is only part of your funding, right?
Yeah. Okay. So great. I'm glad you segued there, because your FICO score is used after your approval to determine your interest rate, the term of your loan or line of credit or credit card, and the amount they're going to lend to you. How much do they want to risk with you? It's called a risk predictive index, right? And so do I give them 5,000? Do I give them 50,000. So that's what FICO is, your score is used for. Underwriters are actually looking at your borrower behaviors, the FICO 40, for those of you who are old pros with us, part of the tribe. The FICO 40 borrower behaviors are what they approve you or deny you on. So once you hit a certain threshold, different lenders have different thresholds. If you're above 680, they'll look at your borrower behaviors, right? But if you're below 680, it's a no regardless, because it's not even worth running you through their system. Some people have it at 700 or 720. So the score can deny you, but once you pass that threshold, that's when they start looking at your borrower behaviors to see how much they want to lend.
So this is really important. So one, we talked a little bit about, coming off of FICO World. And, again, I want to remind people, if you didn't listen to last week, so 2019 was the last time that FICO World was here. Now 2022 is the next time you guys get together. And again, now the world has changed and we have
radically different. It's COVID, post-COVID, recession, inflation.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to see if I can do us live on Instagram as we continue this.
Absolutely. Think about it. Look at all the things since the last FICO World that they predicted they needed a resiliency index, right, for lenders. But now we've had COVID, post-COVID, recession, and inflation. And so now what do we do? So the more fundable you are, the principles remain the same. The more fundable you are, the lower the cost of your funds. So if prime is 8%, then you're going to get a prime plus loan, but it's going to be the best loan possible given what prime is. When prime was 0.5%, then you got prime plus. Fundability makes you access the least expensive money possible. So
I've
those
got
are
also
the things
waving at us. So I want to make sure everybody knows that I just joined us live on Instagram. And one of the reasons we're talking about this new score, there's a resiliency score, and Merrill and myself, actually, I came back from FICO World. I got to go over to Orlando. And so we're talking about, what does this mean for your credit score going forward? There's this new score, the resiliency score, but also we're about to turn that corner. Well, you're joining us now. I see the waves. Hello, you guys. I want to make sure you know that we want to talk about real estate, not only for real estate investors, but also the future, because so many people are like, so I don't know, should I buy now? Should I wait? And also the real estate investors, they're like, so when are all the foreclosures and short sales going to hit the market? Because we know that there are a lot of people who took the whole mortgage moratorium, to the
very nth degree, right?
And now they're still not paying. Now, again, it is what it is. Either they've never gotten another job, they lost their job, could be health problems. There's so many reasons that this happened.
Right.
But when we talk about, as far as you recently, I think you said yesterday, even you had
yesterday, I actually interviewed a mortgage collections officer for one of the big servicers. So she works for the servicer. And what she told me was that her job is to review all, because in the moratorium, they did basically a needs test, right? The first 6 months, if you mentioned the word COVID, they gave you 6 months. They gave you 6 months. Just
no
COVID.
Problem. Yep.
The next 6 months after that, so from March until October-ish, just mentioning the word COVID got you a moratorium. Now, let's put this over here. You're not making payments, and they suspended the Fair Credit Reporting Act truth in reporting clause so that they could say 30 days late, but your notation also said, listen carefully, the notation also said, subject to national disaster relief. That's not good, because you're still not paying as agreed. Right. Even if your credit report or your credit profile says current, paid as agreed, that is what was reported by the mortgages to the credit bureaus, and therefore scored by FICO, so you didn't lose any points. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, we're over at the lender's internal performance data going, I see the money going through their checking accounts. I see on their needs assessment. There are a number of different. There's FICO Falcon. There's a number of different platforms that they can investigate the truth of what you're saying, and over the internal performance data, it's literally saying they're not paying their mortgage, and maybe we need to investigate. So they do 6 months later, they did another needs assessment.
Right.
And you had to actually now prove up to get to continue. So as we know, August of 2020, it was still a mess, right? So millions of people qualified. Yep. What I want to point out is that this is radically different than 2008 when the bank said, "You're late, screw you, we're taking your house back." Boom. Very, very different attitude from the banks, but they're still seeing who the faithful borrowers are and who the maybe kind of shadowy borrowers are, and some borrowers who had the means to pay didn't, but the bank didn't want to be the bad guy this time around, like they were, or publicly be the bad guy this time around, like they did in 2008. But over here, meanwhile, back at the ranch, they're tracking all of your payment data, and that is going to and so she's telling me that she reviews all of these needs assessments, and they have an underwriting process to see if you can even qualify, because some of them are saying, all right, it's over, pay up everything that you missed. That's option one, right? Option two is turn it into a 40-year loan, tack all these missed payments on the back end, and like loan modification, but don't confuse loan modification with the mess that it was in 2008, 9, and 10. Exactly. It was just tack all these extra payments on the back end, but your needs assessments gotta be solid. They gotta be lined up. So there is not, lenders lend and they want to protect their money, right? It's not just a free-for-all. So there may be some dire consequences for many, lots of borrowers because they didn't play fair with the banks, maybe.
Right. And knowing that it's going to change a lot, because the numbers, we're going to start announcing the numbers. And remember, everyone who's on there now, I see all your waves. Yay. I want to make sure that you know that we're going to do this every week. We're going to get together. I know Merrill's going to be out a little bit, but we'll make sure we will be on next week, and we're definitely going to keep answering your questions. So keep sending in your questions, and know that the real estate market is definitely going to change, and that we're keeping up with all of the fundability. What do you need to know to be fundable? Whether you're a real estate agent, whether you're a real estate investor, or if you are a buyer, or even if you're thinking about selling or moving to another location, that we want to help you understand that. And so that's what we're here for. We're here to answer your questions. And I want to make sure you talk really quick, briefly, Merrill, talk about the boot camp. If people are interested in learning about the boot camp.
June 3rd and 4th, last live boot camp. June 3rd and 4th. Last live, because we're going to a digital product where we will amend, special announcements, add special announcements, special evolutions in the bonuses. But I'm moving my attentions over to quarterly, like, implementation intensives. So make sure you go to getfundablejennifer.com, register. Last live bootcamp. This bootcamps will still be available. They're a bit. I've got 30 of them in recordings. You can have access to those, but make sure you get to this last live one, because we're gonna be killing it. And make sure we announce next week, you and Sky, when it's on the big broadcast. Let's make sure we get it out to everybody.
Exactly. And make sure you guys are sending in your questions. I'm telling you, the boot camp, why you want to go to the live one is because you get to ask your questions. So thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Bye, you guys. Okay. We are off on the
on Instagram
live. That was amazing. It was so much fun to see all the people coming up and saying hello and waving and stuff. So we'll get that worked out so that we can stream to everybody.
Everybody deserves this.
Exactly. I want to make sure we get the